Hello and welcome back to another WhiskAYE podcast number 24, as yet unnamed because we generally take our names from our...
Drunken ramblings.
Yeah, that's the word. I was going to say a name, but drunken is much more accurate.
Could be both.
This edition is from the February 2021 Dram Team box, still on the Dram Team train, titled From Glen to Ben. So the title card here says, in this box, we journey over hills and across valleys, sipping merrily as we tour two great Scottish distilleries. Join us, intrepid tipplers, and go from Glen to Ben and back again. Cheers.
I think you've stolen the Josh's Journeys idea there, travelling and that.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think anyone travelled to distilleries before I came out.
We premiered the Josh's Journeys after this came out, I think. But
yeah, significantly.
We'll just say that that's what happened. But yeah, I think it should be quite interesting. I mean, last time round, I think we went back and forth between two distilleries, so we're just sort of rolling that back, but with different ones. Glen Turret and Ben Dram this time round, both Highland, one arguably Speyside.
Yeah, I think Ben Dram identifies itself as Speyside, but that line is not a particularly hard drawn one, is it?
No, they're on the border of in the grey area, I would say.
Well, I mean, Macallan sometimes says that it's Speyside and sometimes says that it's Highland, and that's pretty squarely in the middle. So
yeah,
you can do what you want, really.
Yeah. Of course, Glen Turret being quite low in the lowland. In the Highland, sorry, like on the map. It's quite a southern Highland whiskey, but it still falls in the region.
So we should crack on with his first one then, should we not? I'll talk us through our first Glen Turret of the evening. So this is the Glen Turret Sherry Cask Edition. So our Glen for this box is Glen Turret, as we discussed. Previously the home of famous grouse, it's also one of Scotland's oldest distilleries with an early history steeped in illicit distilling. Nowadays, the distillery focuses on traditional, unhurried whiskey making. The bottling is from their no longer in production Legacy range, a small batch single malt matured exclusively in sherry-seasoned European oak. So hopefully you've opened yours. I haven't had a chance yet, but I'll tell you what you should be smelling. Creamy vanilla opens, followed by toffee, could be caramel. The two settle to give a softer, I thought you said softer mid-nose, but softer mild nose, which gives way to both fresh and stewed apple. Fresh cut oak arrives late. So
it's quite a lot of a nose.
Yeah, you've got vanilla, toffee/caramel, fresh and stewed apple, and then a bit of oak woodiness in there as well.
To get the sort of oakness that's towards the end. And there's definitely maybe it's like a treacly. It smells a little bit more bitter than
like a molasses treacle. Yeah. There is some vanilla in there towards the back though.
Yeah, I can agree with most of those comments.
Not really getting any apple.
No, I think the oakiness is kind of appley, maybe. Like, it's, but not really.
Okay, so you should taste. On the palate, wood spices come to the fore. Ginger, nutmeg. Ginger, nutmeg, lead. I thought it said ginger, nutmeg, lead. And I was like, tastes like lead. A light peppery warmth is noted on the palate. Sweetness enters later with soft citrus fruits. And the finish is oaky, light fruit, and sweet.
I was struggling to taste because I was about to laugh at you talking about lead flavored whiskey. Yeah, the finish is quite sweet.
Yeah, it's quite sweet the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a heavily sherried whiskey. I don't know if it's very oily. Don't really seem to have legs.
Doesn't really hit all those like classic sherried whiskey with sort of Christmas cake notes as well.
No, it's sweeter than that.
But I don't know. I think it's a no age statement.
I don't know.
It doesn't have an age on the name, so
it doesn't. So that's generally a good sign that it's a NAS.
Yes, but I mean, it's not. In no way is it unpleasant. It's definitely.
It's just, yeah. I don't know if you didn't tell me that was sherried,
Yeah.
I would say that was like a bourbon sherry finish.
Rather than.
Yeah, rather than a full one. But I don't know if it is.
It could just be the spirit. I don't know.
It says it's mixtured exclusively in them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe just. Glen I think they have quite a. I was reading up before we did this because I'm a nerd. I think they have a generally quite a sweet new make, so it could just be that.
So what we're saying for the tastes then? Quite sweet.
Yeah.
There's vanilla in there.
No lead.
No lead. I'll put that. It's warming, I'd say.
Yeah. It's a little bit spicy, but it's quite okay, I would say. Like it's got a lot of the wood notes.
Yeah. Finish is warming. It's an easy finish, isn't it?
Yeah. Sort of almost has like kind of a lowland.
Yeah. It is. I'll put almost lowland-esque, and I like lowlands, so that's not an insult.
It just sort of goes along with the geography of them being kind of low highland, but like it's Crieff they're in, which is very much on that line between, the line that you draw from Dundee to sort of Loch Lomond. Crieff's kind of wavering near that, but you would say it was Highland.
Yeah, I think a lot say that the Highland, because unfortunately Lowland's not got a strong reputation.
It doesn't.
Which is a shame because there's some lovely Lowland distilleries.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just finish the last thing and then we'll discuss scars.
Yep.
Last little sip, sorry.
For me, I'd happily give that a 3.
I'm thinking 3. It's
tasty. It's a good, tasty. That's what was it? What was Vin's word that he uses?
Gatekeeper, guardian whiskey, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's the whiskey that you put in front of the expensive whiskey, so that when you go for a dram, you don't go, "I'll just use this one that's super expensive."
Yeah, I could happily have a few of them. It was very nice, but not exceptional.
Yep.
Okay.
That's about exactly what the definition of a 3 is, I would say.
Yeah. That's his first Glen down. Do you want to talk about our first Ben?
Yeah, I'll crack on. 2 seconds. So it's Ben Romac, aged 10 years. So this one isn't a NAS. And the Ben of this box, it says, comes from Ben Romac, whose name alludes to their water source in the Romac Hills. Ben Romac is a Speyside distillery that's both new and old at the same time. There we go, we'll take that. Bought and refitted by Gordon and MacPhail in 1993, the existing site had produced whiskey as far back as 1898. After a recent brand refresh, their new bottles feature a sleek, modern look with callbacks to their heritage. Their flagship 10-year-old has been aged exclusively in first fill casks, and I believe you'll be coming back to the fact that we've been to Ben Romac.
Bean Romac.
Yeah. So that's
first
an exciting thing for us. We had a tasting at like 9 a.m, which is just what you want to be doing.
Perfect. Breakfast champions.
Yeah. So you crack on and I'll tell you what you should be smelling. Says that the nose has sweet green apple and pear complement creamy dark honey. Soft vanilla develops alongside gentle smoke, typical of Ben Romac, I suppose.
Yeah, I expected a little bit of peat being a Ben Romac. Yeah, it's there's a little bit of fruitiness, like what is it, orchard fruits?
Yeah. 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's almost like like stewed apples. It makes me think of cooked apples. But I don't know if that's because of the smoke making me think of like a fire.
Yeah, maybe. Could be just psychosomatic fire.
Mm.
Yeah,
all I'm getting is like an apple pie.
I'm getting quite a smoky scent to it, but it is gentle. It's not aggressive.
Yeah, I'm just getting quite strong, like apple pie notes on that, because like the smoke.
Pear pie.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll put pear pie on the nose. Live with that.
The smoke is kind of like in the background, like if you were like walking past a scout camp or something, you know.
Yeah. I think that's why it adds to the overall thing and makes it into like cooked apples rather than it just being apples and smoke.
There's a sort of honeyish.
Yeah, I think the honey makes me think of sweet, and then that's why it goes back to that.
Yeah.
The whole pie thing. It's like sugar and apples and smoke have just combined.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to take a taste, the palate should be smooth flavors of malted cereal and stewed fruit combined with warm toffee and a hint of black cherry, with a finish that's a full-bodied finish with malted cereal and soft smoke.
It is quite malty, but there's like a cooked sweetness there. So I guess that's the cooked apples. Did it say stewed apples or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Stewed fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is kind of like a cooked sugariness to it right at the start. I've not had black cherry, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Yeah.
Aren't black cherries like the cherries on a Black Forest Gateau?
Yeah, we've discussed this, haven't we?
Yeah. I don't like Black Forest Gateau.
No, but I think we'd liked a whiskey that tasted like Black Forest Gateau.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Or we thought it did. All right, so what we're saying, malted notes with cooked fruit sweetness.
Yeah, and then that characteristic Ben Dram smokiness is there in the finish, I would say.
Yes, makes itself known in the finish. Yeah. Another deeply pleasant whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw they'd started a new range. Their advertising has changed. Like the branding, Ben Dram since we've been. But then that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Thanks, Rona.
Exactly.
Just take my last sip, and then you know what it's time for.
What?
What do you mean, what? Scores.
Time for the scores.
And then, even more importantly, after that, I forgot about the scores. I will give that another 3. It's different, but I didn't prefer it to that previous one.
Yeah. My go-to whiskey was a Ben Dram before, but I don't think this is near it, but it's not a bad whiskey, so I'm also willing to give it a 3 again.
Okay. So if you're a regular listener, you'll know what it's time for now. We've done 2 whiskies. It is time.
We have.
You were saying? Sorry?
We have done 2 whiskies.
We've done 2 whiskies, yep. I remember that. It's time for Josh's journey. It's the reason everyone tunes in. So, when we were reading the cards out earlier, you may have heard some interesting things on the Glen turret about it being an illicit distillery and all that juicy gossip. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Ben Dram. Because we've been to Ben Dram, as has just been said, and I'm sure we've said plenty of times before, so we can tie it into that. So I'll quickly give you the history, and it's a typical kind of Scotch whiskey distillery history in the periods of it production and not production, and then being bought again. So it was originally founded in 1898 near Forres in Speyside, although like you say, it's not far off the Highlands. Right next to the train station, if you do go for a visit, you can see it from the train. So in 1898, it was a bad time to be founded in a distillery because there was a depression in the Scotch whisky industry. So they did not start production until 1900 and actually closed later that year due to a lack of funds. So wasn't brilliant business timing. So if we skip 11 years ahead, it's now 1911, and the distillery is purchased by Harvey McNair and Co. out of London, so it produced whiskey then until the start of World War One. So not a huge run. Following the end of the war, it was acquired by the aptly named Ben Dram Distillery Limited, presumably set up to buy the distillery, and was run by them and producing until 1925, when again it closed. 13 years later, in 1938, it was purchased by Associate Scottish Distilleries Limited, which is later known as Scottish Malt Distillers Limited, and resumed production. Between 1966 and 1975, it was modernised, and then 9 years after that, in 1983, it was closed once again. And then if we skip another 10 years to 1993, the current owners, Gordon and MacPhail, took over the site. And 4 years later, they started to restore it, changing it so that it could be operated by just one man. It's not, but it can be. It was officially reopened by good old Charles, Prince of Wales, in 1998, and the bottling of the new malt started in 2004. So there was a 6-year gap there. But, being as the Scottish, maybe they were working on the logo. Ben Dram's fairly small. It's only got the one wash still of one spirit still, and it produces about 400,000 litres of whiskey per year. As previously alluded to, it only uses first fill casks. And again, as previously alluded to, it's known for all of its whiskies having a very mild smokiness, as all of their whiskies produced with a small amount of peated barley. And also, as an unusual kind of ingredients point, they use 2 types of yeast rather than just the one, which is unusual. And despite it being fairly recently reopened, they do focus heavily on tradition still, which kind of goes with the Gordon MacPhail philosophy, which we can discuss at another time in more depth, and we've probably talked about before. Yeah. So they use the same 120-year-old mill from the founding of the distillery. They use the same water source from the founding of the distillery. They hand fill, stencil, and stow all the barrels on site. And despite all this, they've kind of recently revamped their look, as we've said. And they now have 7 whiskies on offer. So they've got a 10, a 12, which is a Taiwan exclusive, a 15 and a 21-year-old, a cask strength, a more heavily peated one, and something a little bit unusual, an organic. But I think we're going to dive into what that means a little bit later.
That means they've stopped doing the
Chateau Cisac.
Yes. Finish. That's outrageous. I'll need to stock up.
Yeah. So if you'd like your Chateau Cisacs like we do, get a couple.
There's 2 different wood finishes. The Chateau Cisac is very nice. But
it is very, very nice.
I can't remember what the other vineyard. No, I said distillery. Vineyard. They use. They have another again. One. Yeah, they have another
French wine distilleries.
Yeah. French wine distilleries. Anyway.
So Ben Dram.
Yeah. Unusual. Also, they were very kind. Gave us an extra free tasting on the day.
Yes. Very
10:30 in the morning after we'd had 5 from starting at 9:30. But...
Very good tasting.
Yeah.
Would highly recommend it once Rona lets us all back out.
Yeah.
So that
basically let you go in and just pick which whiskies you want to try. It's pretty good.
Yeah, from their range, yeah.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to the next Glen?
Yeah. Back again, as the title card there.
Back again to Glen. Yeah. Feeling parched, so it's time for another whiskey. Yeah. So this is the Glenturret Triplewood edition. In the second legacy bottling, Glenturret's slow distilled, unpeated spirit is aged in 3 wood types for a rounded, complex flavour profile. Single malt aged in sherry seasoned casks, made from both American and European oak, is married with ex-bourbon American oak. The result is a fruit-driven, sweet yet spicy, well-balanced malt. On the nose, you should have bright full citrus initially, polished new oak follows. As this unfolds, sweety notes start to form with bourbons and bonbons and boiled sweets. Soft oak with hints of cinnamon and lemon cake. Never heard of lemon cake, like lemon drizzle cake, but lemon cake.
guess it's the cake inside the drizzle cake, right? It's like
must be, yeah, like
a
the
lemony
sponge.
Victoria sponge.
Yeah.
Which I can get. There's a sort of citric.
I was just being picky
Yeah.
to be picky, to be honest.
It is citric, but there is a maltiness to it, so I guess that's where you get lemon cake from.
Yeah, that would make sense, I suppose. So
there is a bit of a polish to, like a furniture polish to this, by the way. Better not carry through the flavour.
Do you reckon he's done it again to us, Chris? So let's see if I can get this lemon and this oak. There's definitely a baked goods smell there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the maltiness I think of.
Yeah. A little bit of citrus, not a huge amount.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's definitely some kind of citrus.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you give it a deep sniff, you'll get what I mean by the polished oak. Is a
okay. Give me a second. A deep sniff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right at the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if it is.
I'm just hoping it doesn't carry through. That's all.
Well, we're just about to find out.
Yeah.
So the palate is fruity, soft, and sweet. Apple and orange, followed by cinnamon, toffee, and wood spice. Hints of ginger and cassia are late arrivals with soft, mellow oak. I will look up what cassia is, because I don't know, unless you know.
Nope.
It's Chinese cinnamon.
Could just say cinnamon, innit?
Cassia cinnamon is considered lower quality. There you go. Giving us low quality cinnamon.
Yeah. It's quite smooth, that. I mean, what's the finish supposed to be?
Soft, fruity, and full.
It is definitely soft. I'd say soft is. That's
slightly spicy.
Folds into the softer spirit of lowland whiskies, isn't it? Like they have a.
Yeah, which I'm craving at the moment. I really like it.
That softness is kind of there, but this isn't a lowland. We just keep saying. I keep saying it's interesting how their geography being this far south in the Highlands, it seems to almost influence their whiskey to be closer to a lowland than a Highland style. I mean, the Highland style is one of the broadest defined styles anyway, because it's not really a style, but
I think soft flavors is fair. I think toffee is definitely in there. There is a very mild spice. Not really getting apple and orange.
Again, there's something citric there. Maybe it's more like a grapefruit.
Yeah.
But it's not strong, but it's hard to...
It's kind of like up at the edges of where it hits your mouth.
Yeah. And I would
like
say
borders.
Yeah. They don't have any whiskey, I don't think. It would be lowland anyway.
Yeah. It wasn't meant as a Scottish geography pun, but it came out, so I'll take it.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like there's no real strong flavors, I would say.
No, it's definitely defined, I would say, by being soft and easy to drink, but it's got that kind of like caramelized sugar kind of sense to it that I get from lowland. Just really soft and easy. It's like eating like if you get like the pastry on like a fruit pie or whatever, like an apple pie, and it's got like big grains of sugar on the top.
Yeah.
It'd be like just eating the pastry and nothing else. Like there's no dominant flavors, but it's still quite pleasant.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So I quite like that one, to be honest. So I would happily score that at the moment. Are you ready to score?
I'm ready to score, yeah.
So I would go with a 3.5.
I could see going to 3.5 on that one. I think I preferred that to the first two.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep my scores lower so that we can actually use the whole range, which is unfair because all the previous ones I haven't. But
I would say I'm in the same.
New me.
I'm in the same kind of. Even if you against some of the other ones, it's hard to. Basically all of our scorings are in box, but
yeah.
Which is why we do plan at some point to start doing some revisits, not of things that we've drank a month ago, but of things that we've drank.
Just keep drinking Chateau Cisac.
Yeah.
17 episodes, being like, we're really refining the score down. We're down to like 4 decimal places.
Yeah, it's about a 4.7. But yeah, no, I'd go 3.5 on this. I'm happy with that.
Good.
So we'll lead us on to the next Ben, I believe.
Next Ben.
So we're back to Ben Mac, funnily enough, being that we're bouncing back and forth between these two for the whole time. But
if you're surprised by that,
brace
yourself for what's coming up next.
Yeah. This time it's the Ben Mac Contrasts Organic. According to Ben Mac, this is the world's first certified organic single malt whiskey. To create an organic whiskey is clearly much more than a gimmick for Ben Mac. All of their whiskies focus on the pure, unmasked quality of the ingredients. This whiskey is UK Soil Association certified organic from start to finish, has been aged in virgin American oak casks. So, on the nose...
They had an organic when we visited, didn't they?
Yeah, it was... I think
it was fairly new.
I think this is it, but in the new range. It might be slightly different, but yeah. So, on the nose, should be sweet vanilla and ripe fruits accompany citrus zest. Toasted malt leads to green apples.
So there's a toasty kind of smell, like the malty toastiness. There's vanilla, but the strange thing is there's no peat that I can detect, and I am a bloodhound for peat, so...
Rather than... So that it's the peat's coming out as toasty. Maybe they can't peat it.
For it to be organic?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's by a soil association, they said, didn't they? So
yeah,
I don't think the soil association would like them taking peat, but I don't know.
This is a discussion that I can put at the back end of my segment, so we'll come back to this.
The main segment, yeah. The reason everyone listens.
It's an informative bit of news, or not news, education, edutainment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if it was news, then no one would listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, I can go with vanilla and toasted malts on the nose.
Yep. So then, if you're ready to go in for a taste,
I'm always ready to go in for a taste.
Should be creamy with soft pepper and butterscotch. Freshly ground coffee develops alongside dried banana and a subtle herbal edge, with a finish that is medium-bodied and long with aniseed and cocoa powder.
So it's very creamy, and there is a slight spiciness, but not much, just on the tongue, nowhere else. Not sure I get coffee. Oh, wait. There's a little bit of bitterness then, right at the end. Yeah, aniseed is there, I would say. That's fair.
Oh, yeah, in the finish, definitely.
Mm.
In the mouth, it does have that butterscotchy, like slightly nutmeggy, maybe.
Yeah, I can see nutmeg with the combination of the spice and the flavours. Butterscotch.
I feel like what I'm detecting as butterscotch is what people may detect as dried banana, though. Yeah, you know, like they're very similar flavours, like a creamy.
It is very creamy. This one.
Slightly tart.
I imagine it's got legs. Yeah, it does.
It's enjoyable. I mean, partly it's harder to get a spirit out of organic grains, but
I guess you can't use fertilizers and stuff, can you?
No nitrogen, because there's no nitrogen in the soil. Yeah.
Can you use like natural fertilizer? Well, we'll find out, won't we?
No.
Is that a no? We won't find out. Or
That's a no. We won't find out. That's right, not the way we're going. But right.
I'm
pretty sure, to an extent, for organics, yes. But I think mostly you're supposed to use like crop rotation, preferably. But you could use, dung, I imagine.
Yeah. Or packing peanuts.
Yeah. Don't know that would be organic.
Well, apparently you can use them for that.
Yeah, but
coffee grounds as well, apparently, quite good for.
Yeah, so I think using things like coffee grounds would probably be considered organic, whereas using things where there's been a process involved.
Manufactured.
Yeah. Because otherwise, most of the chemicals they use are derived from plants.
Fair. What score would you like to give that one, or have I rushed?
Well, I mean, I've still got half a glass left, but
I thought I might have rushed that one.
Give a score.
I really like that.
Drink it and see.
I really like that. I would give that somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm trying to think if I preferred it to the other one.
I'm going to go for a 4.
I'm going to go for a 4. I think I really like that.
It's been a good box ascending towards the finish. Hopefully we continue the ascent.
Ascent, yeah, indeed. Maybe it's because we're getting drunker, so we're just like, oh, it's the best.
It's very possible. I mean, I always worry that is the case when we're dashing through these boxes, that we're actually just sat here giving them higher scores. Cause...
If you're listening, Chris, and you fancy sending us an extra, a free box for any of these, we'll do them in reverse order next time.
Yeah, and see if the scores still happen.
Yeah, just so you know, for our 29 subscribers, it's probably worth it. It's probably sound business.
As an experiment, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll pay you an exposure.
We're paying everyone an exposure. So are you ready to move on to...
Yeah, I'm ready to be educated.
Yeah, Whisky Talk, here we go. So the subject, as you may have guessed from my allusions during the previous whiskey, we may have put this here exactly because of that whiskey. My subject is, what is organic whiskey? Which sounds like an obvious question. Surely an organic whiskey is a whiskey made with only organic ingredients, which is, I mean, given that one of them is water, fairly easy to get organic water. Barley and yeast, I don't know if you can get inorganic yeast, but you'd imagine as simple as that, right? Wrong.
What was that supposed to be?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know this.
Oh, right, yeah. We'll put a little clip in.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, violence.
There are a number of other requirements. Well, really, there's a number. I'm going to talk about 2 because we only have a small amount of time, which we usually run over on. But firstly, the casks. So a vital part of any whiskey is its time maturing in casks. The legal requirement obviously being 3 years aging in oak, which can present problems to being defined as organic. So to be organic, the cask must also meet the organic standard, which could mean aging obviously only, as Ben and Mac have done, in first fill, fresh, new oak casks. But if that was the only way, that would lead to a lack of character across all organic whiskies, because essentially the only character they're going to get from being aged in oak is the spirit and oak. And there are a couple of varieties of oak, but I feel like if everyone just used first fill with their spirit, a lot of organic whiskey would just end up tasting the same. So there are other options to be explored. One of which is an interesting avenue, is to age the whiskey in casks that have also only ever held organic products. However, this likely would prove difficult most of the time, as finding organic alcohol casks, like the organic trade hasn't really been going. The concept of organic hasn't really been going long enough to have that many vineyards or sherry, what are they?
French wine distilleries.
Yeah, French wine distilleries, or even American whiskey distilleries.
Is anything in America organic?
They do have organic bourbons, but chances of them being churned out at a level to sustain and also a whiskey being put into them, it's pretty slim.
Yeah, I'd just like to step back on that comment, because you're right. Although America is a factory of a nation, it does have quite a strong craft scene, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there are organic they have, because they always use first fill.
Yeah.
Then they have it's a lot easier for them to do organic, you know. Whereas, well, I'm not trying to slight bourbon, but bourbon has a very fixed sort of flavor profile, and whiskey, Scotch whiskey, single malts have a very broad flavor profile.
Yeah, bourbon's akin to like an Islay whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it would take away from the whiskey from the concept of single malt Scotch whiskey. If we as we move towards a world where we make things organic a lot more and stuff.
Yeah.
If they all just narrow in on this flavor of first fill.
Yeah, you hope that, like as others do it, like sherry producers and that, you could start to use theirs.
Yeah, that you would hope as the time develops there will be more options. I mean, I feel like there's some vineyards where you could get.
Yeah, there must be.
It's not very popular.
It's probably more expensive as well.
Yeah, it's probably as hard as it is to get like a proper sherry butt these days, rather than just seasoning.
See how one of our previous
with organic spirit but that's not one of the options I've mentioned here. So maybe we can patent that. I don't know. But the other option is that you take a cask which has seen non-organic alcohol and you char it so deep that there's no chance of any of the previous non-organic, I was going to say inorganic, but I feel like that means it's made of like, latex.
What is it, metal?
Yeah, metal. Metals are organics, aren't they? I don't know.
What do you mean? I don't know what organic. I always thought organic was like living.
I suppose, yeah, probably. You could distill iron from living things, but no, that's
I read something like 246 people or something like that would give you enough iron to make a sword.
Yeah, there you go.
From the blood. Depends if they're anemic, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can just take an old cask and shave it, char it. I suppose you could use STRs if you just charred it enough.
I was just about to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another option. But that's not the only thing. If you want to be called organic, your stills cannot have been used for a run of non-organic spirit prior to being used for your organic spirit, unless you reset the requirement by doing effectively deep cleaning the whole thing. I know this counts for stills. I couldn't objectively find out if they have to do it, if they have to clean their mills and their what are they?
The washbacks.
Washbacks. I can't imagine they can clean a washback.
Well, Ben and Max got quite a few washbacks, but only one of each kind of still, so they must have had to clean out the stills to do this run.
Yeah, so apparently, most of the time, I mean, most likely, if a distillery has an organic whiskey and then an existing distillery that's been producing for a while, their organics will be made immediately after they do their, whatever annual deep clean, where they basically blast everything as clean as it can ever get before they go back into production cycles. So that's the way it's done from what I've read, unless of course you're a new distillery and you only do organic, and I believe that's the case with one of our next podcast whiskies, which is Nick Neen.
I believe it is. I will tell you when my bottle arrives.
Yeah.
Because I ordered a full bottle of that as a spoiler warning.
Okay. So you might know that there's a score coming. It's decent. But yeah. Anyway, all of these factors add up to extra expense in making organic whiskey, which probably explains why it's a bit less common still to be seen. But I think it's a welcome addition.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things that we should be moving towards. It doesn't have to be every whiskey does it right now, because like you said, that severely limit your tastings.
Yeah.
But what's the excuse not to move towards it?
Well, pumping out
I suppose
nitrogen.
Whiskey does rely quite a lot on other countries' exports, like bourbon cask, sherry cask, and that. They're not made over here, are they?
Also, like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I can make more spirit with a highly fertilized grain than I can.
There's less downtime as well, isn't there, between, because like if you don't fertilize your fields or whatever, you have to let them go fallow for a season.
Or you can crop cycle, but
yeah, true, yeah. Oh, that was interesting.
Yes, I thought it was pretty interesting researching it. I mean, we'd been told about this when we were at Ben Dram Team, because obviously we tried the organic when we were there, but
it's one of those buzzwords that we see everywhere nowadays on like fruit and veg.
It's not as easy to become organic as maybe you would think.
Especially not when you're like a processed product like a whiskey.
Yeah.
Like if it's literally just, it's a plant you pull out of the ground and it can't have had any things, fine. But then when it's like, but the barrel can't have been and the still
10
can't
steps
be.
removed, yeah.
So another informative whiskey talk. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
I'm thanking you on behalf of our listeners. Right, we'll go back to the final Glen.
You don't care, obviously.
No, I don't care about anything. I'm dead inside. I rely on 4 or 5 whiskies to make me feel.
Yeah.
Existential crisis again. So this is the Glen Turret, just shaking that right off. This is the Glen Turret, aged 10 years, peat smoked. Hooray. So here you go, see. So this time, Glen Turret is one of the rare Highland distilleries. So yeah, they're clinging onto that Highland label. That intermittently run peated malt through their stills throughout the year. Peat smoked barley production has been recorded at Glen Turret as far back as the early 1800s. This 10-year-old peated bottling is from their brand new 2020 maiden release and forms part of the future vision of Glen Turret's range, a modern take on a traditional style of whiskey making. So on the nose, you should get flamed citrus peels, those flaming citrus peels, burnt heather, soft chewy toffee, and bonfire. Not a bonfire, bonfire.
Is that like a really good fire?
In France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All fires in France are really good.
Très bon. Yeah, well, it's just been like 90% of French fires are Molotovs, aren't they? They're always protesting about something or the other.
Well, they're allowed.
How dare they? Like, let the lesser
people have
they
show off their right to protest?
Yeah. How dare they have a strong republic?
Yeah. I'm getting the burnt heather for sure.
Yeah.
Swiftly swerving away from politics, except. But...
Yeah, exactly. They were veiled compliments at France, by the way, from an Englishman.
They were unveiled from me.
Old alliance.
Yeah, whatever that means. Still beat us at football.
I think it just means that you hate England together, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's us and everyone.
That's everyone and everyone.
Yeah. Apart from if you watch The Simpsons, in which case it's Scots hate everyone with everyone.
Yeah.
So, damn Scots, they ruined Scotland.
God, I mean, your country like subjugates a third of the world 150 years ago, and people just don't let you live it down. Just because we're constantly benefiting from it. Honestly.
And the only country that should be standing in arms with you won't let you live it down, that they won a war of independence against you. I don't get it.
I feel like the common people in America, like the everyday people, stand with Britain.
Yeah, probably.
I think they quite like us.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I don't know the common man in America. Yeah. So we're swerving back into politics and then straight back away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get burnt. Heather, fine.
Don't know about soft chewy toffee. There is a sweetness in it.
I was going to say there's like a caramelized sugariness to it.
It is very heathery, this.
Yeah, it is. But I'm not getting... So as we know, because I bang on about it every time, medicinal peat is the peat I hate. This is more... Bonfire would be an apt...
But often the heathery stuff is where the medicinal peat is, and that's why it's weird. It's a bit strange. But yeah.
So I'm going to put strong burned heather notes on the nose. and then you can dive in, and I'll tell you what you should be tasting. Smoke from the peat fire envelops. Fresh citrus fruit, vanilla, and light spice drift from the embers with hints of sea salt and smouldering heather. Not burnt heather, smouldering. The finish is salted caramel, a wisp of smoke, and burnt oak. So there's a lot of fire in this.
It tastes like a salty fire.
A salty fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the peat builds up at the end.
Yeah. Whereas it says a wisp of smoke, but yeah.
I would say the peat is strongest at the finish.
But I would say the peat is different in the finish.
It becomes more medicinal in the finish.
Maybe. I thought it was a bit sweeter.
Sweeter, that's what I'm saying, yeah. Lighter. It's like a very heavy, kind of darker wood smoke kind of peat, and then it gets lighter.
Mm-hmm. I actually quite like it.
I like it up until the finish.
Mm.
And that lighter smoke kind of ruins it a bit for me.
It's
but it is very nice.
I would say the salted caramel is in the flavour. But that's obviously like the sea salty vanilla-ness. It's hard for me to depict them through the smoke, obviously. But it has a warm, sweet and savoury sort of tango going on.
Yeah. I like your taste like a salty fire, so I'll put that. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't peg it at 50%.
Well, absolutely not. I didn't know that was...
No, I just noticed that in my notes. It is a 50%. It handles itself very well.
Yes. I think I'm ready to score if you are.
I've still got a bit of taste, but I can finish that.
And you go.
Yes. No. I think I was first last time, so come on.
I'm going to say I'm willing to give that one a 3.5 as well.
I would go with a 3 for that, but for a peated one...
Strong praise.
That could actually be my favourite ever peated one.
Yeah.
To be honest.
We mean properly peated, obviously. There's not a...
Yeah, like a Ben Dram. You know, I like Ben Dram.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't count that as a proper peated one because it's like 10% peat to 90% normal barley in it. This is the properly peated.
Yeah. This is the peated run rather than we add some.
I don't know, it's just very well grounded. It's just that finish that takes that 0.5 away from me.
Yeah. I didn't mind the finish. It was not too medicinal and it was sweet, I thought. So it was...
You know what it makes me think of, the initial taste? You know, like when you get a charcoal kiln and then they bury it?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Oh, like earthy?
Yeah, because it's like they've got the bonfire and then they've covered it in earthy tones.
Mm. That's fair.
I'm going to put, because it sounds really artsy, so I'm going to put that. Like a charcoal kiln.
Yeah.
I think it's a kiln. Been a while since I've seen anyone play ostrich.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know about charcoal kilns is from watching people play video games.
All right. I don't know even that much.
You should know it from Kingdom Come.
I should do, but I got stuck on side quests that were actually the main quest and then died a lot. So the game doesn't really tell you what's the quest.
You deal with charcoal burners a bit, though, don't you? No one likes them because they live outside town.
Oh,
so
right, yeah.
You don't trust them.
Yeah.
I think I punched quite a few of them. Can't remember if you meant to, but
probably you might punch everyone in that game.
Well, when you've got plated gauntlets on, you'd be remiss to not backhand a couple of people, wouldn't you?
Do you want to move on to our 6th most special dram?
As in, it's the most special dram, or as in it's the 6th most special dram?
It's the most special, and it's the 6th. There was a comma.
There was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Can you see my speech?
I could barely hear it.
Okay.
Well,
back to Ben
understand it, should I say?
Back to Ben Dram.
That's actually a comment from my mum there, by the way.
What, that she can't barely understand me?
Yeah, you need to speak with less of an accent.
That's not happening.
I was like, he's not got that broad of an accent. It's like, I can't understand him a lot of the time. It's like, you're not missing a lot.
If you can't understand me, you don't deserve to be listening to a podcast about Scotch. That's what I'm going to say.
It just worries me how much I must have talked to you to, like, and I've imperceptibly picked up on it, and it's just.
Well, you also work with a lot of Scots.
I do.
So,
I do. For my sins.
Yeah. Anyway.
Back
to Ben Dram. Funnily enough, for an age 21 years. So, it says here, Ben Dram's high quality first fill bourbon and sherry casks make an appearance here again for this single malt, this time aged for 21 long years. Ben Dram's single malts use a medium peat smoked barley to evoke the peat and peat fire stills of Spaceside's history, and that smoke is refined and elegant here. A wonderful opportunity to try a well-aged, subtly smoky Speyside malt next to its younger sibling. We couldn't pass this up. On the nose, sweet sherry aromas with underlying citrus, ginger, and oak notes, accompanied by a touch of smoke.
It smells different.
I can actually smell like a gingeriness to it.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Was like, I actually get ginger.
Yeah,
like
usually we're just
not
like
gingerbread.
Yeah. Usually it's just like, oh, spicy, and then they chuck in ginger, and you're like, it doesn't taste like ginger at all.
You have my scale of spiciness, don't you? I think ginger's on there.
Yeah, bottom.
Yeah, with nutmeg and cinnamon.
Yeah,
and then it's cloves is the next one up.
Yeah. Anyway, on the palate, if you're ready for a drink.
Let me just put ginger dominates the nose. Yeah. I'm going in for a sip.
Okay, you should be getting. Well, it says here it's sweet initially with cracked black pepper, Seville orange and raspberry flavors lead to baked apple and subtle spice, with a finish of charred oak and soft smoke.
So I'm not getting any smoke. I am getting baked apples. There is a little bit of cracked pepper, medium spice on my scale of spiciness where pepper falls with cloves. Yes, not clovesy. Black pepper is fine. I'm not getting really orange or raspberry flavors. A little bit of charred oak on the back, the woodiness.
That's interestingly peppery. It's like in the roof of the mouth. It's like it actually has like some of the subtle spice. It has some flavors that it's almost like, you know, like a lot of like the appetizers at an Indian restaurant, like like some of the dips and stuff, maybe like mango chutney, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It has flavor. The spice is like similar to that. I suppose that would be like your orangey raspberry spiciness.
Yeah, maybe that's what they mean. I'm not getting any sweetness from this at all.
It's got like a coriander flavor to it, I think, actually.
I think coriander's actually spot on.
I was like trying to work out what it is, and that's what it is. It
is. That spice is coriander.
Yeah.
Nailed that, I think. And this is why you could guess one for Sarah and I couldn't, you see.
And then I think it's, I don't really get much of the smoke. It's like in there, but not really.
I don't get any smoke at all from that. Whether that's just because it's the sixth whiskey.
And probably after that, I imagine if we hadn't had...
Yeah, we've probably burned ourselves on the peat.
I've got a tiny bit left. What I'm going to do is take a big drink of water. A tall glass of water.
See, I tried to do that. I had a big drink of water. I washed my glass out. We should really do 6 glasses, shouldn't we? How the professionals do it. Well, I've had all mine, so I am ready to score when you are.
That was smokier.
Okay.
Only a little bit, but like very hints, but it was more salty actually.
It is very salty, that one.
It's good.
Very savoury.
I'd give that one probably a 4.
4? I'm torn between a 4 and a 3.5.
Yeah.
I don't think it was, but it was better than the peat smoke. The triple wood. Yeah, okay. I'll give it a 4.
That's where I'm at with it. Basically, it's been my favourite, and Definitely was my favourite, which means that it scores more than the ones I've scored before, which means it has to be a 4. But I couldn't give it a 4.5. It's not.
It's not. No.
Which again leads us into if we like it, it's either amazing, 4.5, or really rarely a 5, or it has to fall between 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss whether we change our scoring system and then revisit the 250 whiskies we've already drank.
Yeah, we've got to do it annually if we want to be like our hero.
Good old Jim.
Yeah.
I think he's just like in a lab somewhere, like in a tube, and they keep him alive and just feed him whiskey and he's begging him.
It's just a brain with one taste bud and they just touch whiskey on it all day.
Please, no more whiskey. And like, produce the book, Jim.
Without you, we can't sell whiskey.
Shout out to Jim Murray, by the way, if you want to team up. I think we've got a similar reach.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I can guarantee you, my mum does not read the Jim Murray books.
Yeah, exactly. Unique new subscribers. That's what you mean.
So, another 6 whiskies tasted, another Josh's Journeys, another Whisky Talk.
Yeah. I'm going to start. I'm going to make a jingle for that isn't actually a jingle. It's just me saying, Whisky Talk, talk.
There you go. It's been recorded. You can use that. As always, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed.
Yep.
Any feedback?
Comments below.
Email, or you can comment below. At least drown out the weird spammer link comments that we get would be nice.
Yeah, we tried to delete them, but we're not really very good at YouTube, so we're only on like every other week.
We are amateur YouTubers and whiskey drinkers, amateur everything.
Yeah. Podcasters, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But hopefully you've seen an improvement in quality over the last couple, and we're driving to continue that.
Yeah.
And
thanks for listening / watching. Don't feel like anyone actually watches this, like the videos, but maybe they do.
Good background noise for work. I can recommend it.
Is that how you edit?
I am very egotistical. It's like sound of my own voice for an hour. Hell yes.
Yeah. So,
thanks. Okay. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Cheerio.
Bye.